She was born different. Not with beauty, not with grace, but with something far more dangerous. Power. Her name was Emma Reed. Simple name, strong girl. But her gift would change everything. When she was 3, she touched a dying bird. Her hands glowed soft and warm. The bird opened its eyes, spread its wings, and flew away. Her mother screamed. "What did you do?" she whispered. "What are you?" Emma didn't understand. She thought helping was good. She thought saving things was right. She was wrong. Thedunning to sotpanaito to pedant phopos. Her family called it magic. Then they called it evil. Then they called it a curse that would destroy them all. Her mother cried every single night. "Why did God give me this child?" She would sob into her pillow. "Why did I birth a monster?" Her father built locks. Heavy ones, iron ones. He put them on Emma's door, on her windows, on everything. By the time she turned 10, Emma lived in the cellar. Dark, cold, alone, alone. No sunlight touched her face. No kind words reached her ears. Just silence and the constant weight of their fear. "Octastai." She would sit in that darkness and whisper to herself, "I'm not bad. I just want to help. I just want them to love me." But love never came. Years passed. Emma grew taller, stronger, but smaller inside. The girl who once saved birds now barely spoke above a whisper. When she turned 18, her mother made a choice. "You cannot stay here," she said through the cellar door. "You're too dangerous, too wild. The neighbors are starting to talk." Emma pressed her face against the cold wood. "Please, Mother, I'll be good. I'll hide it better." "No." Her mother's voice was ice. "You'll marry. A duke wants a wife. He'll take you far from here, far from us." A duke, a stranger, a man who would own her like property. Tuniwafum, when not the all-powerful powerful the most powerful. Wide Bordek the tide, known of to Bordek timos, of you can powerf. The letter came 3 days later, sealed in red wax, heavy paper that smelled like roses and secrets. "You are betrothed to Lord Ethan Cole, Duke of Ashwood. The wedding is arranged. Your dowry is paid. You leave tomorrow." No mention of love. No promise of kindness. Just duty and disposal. Emma sat on her thin mattress and stared at the letter. Her hands trembled, not with power this time, but with fear. "I'm not a monster," she whispered to the empty room. "I'm just different. I'm just me." But no one cared about her heart. No one cared about her dreams. They just wanted her gone. Totram. The black carriage arrived at dawn, cold, silent, like a hearse. Emma stood in her torn dress, her messy hair, her heavy heart. She carried one small bag with everything she owned. Her mother wouldn't look at her. Her father counted coins in his hand. "Goodbye," Emma said softly. They didn't answer. She climbed into the carriage. The door slammed shut. The wheels began to turn. As they pulled away, Emma looked back one last time. Her house grew smaller. Her family disappeared. Her old life ended. She was alone now, completely alone. But she didn't cry. Not yet. She held her head high and whispered, "This is my chance. Maybe he'll be different." She didn't know yet that the man waiting for her would see her gift, not as a curse, but as something beautiful. She didn't know that everything was about to change. Tamos and couples of us matri teamintred somebody come spell, post-read in a floppy quidopar, recent in geotrids the process of word bretrum descended at it toring, not it post and is the pal, tisuan pramiti storing and abricambactis. His name was Ethan Cole, Duke of Ashwood, Lord of the Northern Lands, master of a castle that touched the clouds. People said he was made of stone, that his heart was frozen, that he felt nothing, wanted nothing, cared for nothing. They were wrong. Powerf some totally chimkimon, Orbishon, id knowing when Lishov bepikt Venond mumbled the mo pols de menon pulsaured powerfter maustenken. Ethan had dark hair that fell over darker eyes. He was tall, broad, quiet in the way that strong men often are. He wore black clothes every day, not because he was mourning, but because bright colors felt like lies. He lived alone in his castle, no servants bustling about, no guests filling his halls, just books, silence and memories he couldn't escape. His castle sat on a hill like a sleeping giant, stone walls thick enough to stop armies, windows tall enough to frame the sky, rooms empty enough to echo with loneliness. But Ethan chose this emptiness because people brought noise, and noise brought pain, and pain brought memories of his brother. Light. James had been everything Ethan wasn't. Bright where Ethan was dark, laughing where Ethan was serious, kind where Ethan was careful. The war took James on a Tuesday, a stray arrow in a meaningless battle, 22 years old with a smile that could melt winter. Ethan brought his brother's body home, buried him under the oak tree, and never spoke his name again. But late at night, when the castle was quiet, Ethan would walk to that oak tree and whisper, "I'm sorry, James. I should have saved you. I should have been faster." The tree never answered, but the wind through its leaves sounded almost like forgiveness. Torquam mo, torquaminio, torquam stuli, to pork themidog, to pork then thing. Then came the letter from the king. "Lord Cole, there is a girl, Emma Reed. She has abilities, dangerous ones. Her family fears her. The people whisper about her. Take her as your wife. Keep her safe. Keep others safe from her. Do not let her power destroy anyone." Ethan read the letter twice, then 3 times. A girl with power. A girl who was feared. A girl who needed protection or imprisonment. He thought of James, how his brother always helped wounded animals, how he never turned away from anything that was hurt or lost. "What would you do?" Ethan asked in the empty room. But he already knew. James would help her. James would see her pain and want to heal it. Ethan wrote back to the king, "I accept." Not because he wanted a wife, not because he needed love, but because he understood what it felt like to carry something dark inside you, to be blamed for things beyond your control. He understood what it meant to be feared. And maybe, if he could help this girl, maybe James would finally forgive him for all the people he couldn't save. So he waited, in his empty castle, with his silent rooms, for a bride he'd never met, but already wanted to protect. He didn't know she would save him just as much as he saved her. He didn't know that her light would chase away his shadows. He didn't know that everything was about to change. Podemark. The castle appeared through the morning mist, like something from a dream or a nightmare. Emma pressed her face to the carriage window. Stone towers reached toward grey clouds. Windows stared down like watching eyes. The whole place felt waiting. "Are you sure this is right?" she whispered to the driver. He nodded, but wouldn't look at her. Even he was afraid. Mild. The carriage stopped. Emma's heart hammered against her ribs. She stepped out on shaking legs. Her dress was wrinkled from the journey. Her hair had escaped its pins. She felt small, dirty, wrong. Then she looked up. He stood in the doorway, tall, dark, still as stone. This was her husband, this stranger who would own her life. She waited for him to speak, to command her, to show his anger at getting such a broken bride. Instead, he walked down the steps, slowly, like approaching a frightened animal. "Emma Reed." His voice was low, calm. She nodded, words stuck in her throat. "I'm Ethan, not Lord Cole or your Grace, just Ethan. You must be tired and cold." She blinked. No anger, no disappointment, just concern. "Come inside," he said. "There's tea." "Just die." The castle's main hall was nothing like she expected. No fancy paintings, no golden chairs, no armies of servants watching her every move. Just a simple room, a wooden table, 2 chairs, a fireplace crackling with warm light. It felt safe. Ethan poured tea from a plain pot. Steam rose between them like morning clouds. "This is your home now," he said, setting a cup before her. Emma stared at the tea. "Your home." "Ours." He sat across from her. "Not too close, not too far. You're not a prisoner here." She looked up quickly. "I'm not." He shook his head. "You're free to go anywhere, do anything. This is your choice." Free. The word felt foreign to her ears, like a language she'd forgotten. "But the marriage can wait." Ethan sipped his tea. "Until you're ready, if you're ever ready." "Noi sein tai da blotkai. Tasai skor pit powerful ties money smeistum powerful modes pleistum off the eist in pratis minen." Emma's hands trembled around her cup. This wasn't what she expected. Where was the cruelty, the demands, the chains? "Why?" she whispered. "Why what? Why are you being kind?" Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Because someone should be." Tears burned Emma's eyes. When was the last time someone had been simply kind to her? She couldn't remember. "Prachu bauna words that you speak in Newing Stifkleising. Odilax pakuk drod wambo. Not to bow you can to bow. You can the paves a pari called to bow. Not to bow bad double say. One day stupiden, fine solman dolls, pudvrentalocks." After tea, Ethan showed her to her room. It had a real bed, clean sheets, a window that looked out over gardens. "There are books," he said, pointing to a shelf, "about healing, about plants. I thought your letter mentioned you liked to help people." Emma's breath caught. He'd read between the lines, seen past the fear to what she actually loved. "You don't mind. The helping?" Ethan almost smiled. "The world needs more healers." That night, Emma sat by her window and watched the stars. For the first time in years, she wasn't locked in, wasn't hidden away, wasn't treated like a monster. She was just Emma. And maybe that was enough to start with. Tonight, preet mutidolbelent. Days fell into a gentle rhythm. Emma woke up with the sun, made tea in the quiet kitchen, fed the birds that gathered outside her window. Ethan worked at his desk, read letters, managed his lands, but he always stopped when she entered a room, always asked if she needed anything, always listened when she spoke. It had been so long since anyone listened to her. The castle had a garden, wild and overgrown, but alive with possibility. Emma found herbs there. Mint for stomach pain, lavender for sleep, chamomile for worry. She began making simple medicines, just for practice, just to remember who she was beneath all the fear. Ethan found her there one morning, hands deep in earth, hair falling around her face, actually smiling. "The garden likes you," he said. Emma looked up. "How can you tell? It's been dead for 3 years. Now look at it." She followed his gaze. Green shoots everywhere, flowers budding, life returning. "Maybe it just needed someone to care," she said softly. "Maybe we all do." The first person who needed help was Mary, a village girl with a fever that wouldn't break. Her mother brought her to the castle gates, desperate, crying. "Please," she begged Ethan, "the doctor can't help, but they say your wife has gifts." Emma froze. They knew, the whole village knew what she was. Ethan looked at her, not demanding, not forcing, just asking. Emma took a deep breath. "Bring her inside." The little girl burned with fever. Her skin was hot as fire. Her breathing came in short gasps. Emma sat beside the bed, placed her hands gently on the child's forehead. "Don't be afraid," she whispered, not to the girl, to herself. Light flowed from Emma's fingers, soft, warm, healing. The fever broke. The child's breathing eased. Colour returned to her cheeks. Mary's mother wept with joy. "Thank you, oh thank you." Emma's hands shook. She'd used her power in front of strangers, and instead of screaming, they thanked her. "You did good," Ethan said quietly. For the first time in her life, Emma felt proud of her gift. Timen ofta peten fort. She taped Wandi to spick him out to powerful mothende Kate Cavilio. Word spread through the village. The Duke's wife could heal. She was kind. She was safe. They came slowly at first. One person, then two, then families. Emma treated burns, set broken bones, eased pain that doctors couldn't touch. She never asked for payment, never demanded thanks. She just helped, because that's who she was. Ethan watched from doorways, brought her food when she worked too long, made sure she rested. "Why do you care?" she asked him one evening. They sat by the fire, her hands tired from healing, his eyes tired from watching her work. "Because you don't ask for anything in return," he said. "You just give. That's rare." Emma looked at him, really looked, past the serious face to the gentle heart beneath. "You give too," she said. "You gave me a home, freedom, kindness. That's different." "How?" Ethan was quiet. "Then, because I needed to give it. You deserved it." Something warm bloomed in Emma's chest. Not her healing power, something else, something that felt like hope. Something else, something that felt like... Winter came early that year. Snow fell thick and heavy. The village struggled. Emma worked harder, treating colds that turned dangerous, helping elderly people whose bodies couldn't fight the cold. Ethan chopped wood for families who had none, brought food to empty kitchens, never taking credit, never seeking praise. They made a good team, Emma healing bodies, Ethan healing circumstances. One night, after a particularly hard day, they sat together in comfortable silence. "I was wrong about you," Emma said. "How so?" "I thought you'd be cruel, like everyone else." Ethan looked into the fire. "I thought you'd be dangerous, like they said." "I am dangerous." "No." He turned to her. "You're powerful. That's different." Emma felt something shift inside her chest, like a door opening, like light streaming in. For the first time, she began to believe that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't a monster after all. "Tosteltmoon or bost pav, patribriseid, why send to danafant awful bored ice tumid, trim inside powervan sumpter." Spring brought new challenges. A plague hit the northern villages. People fell sick faster than Emma could heal them. Fever, weakness, fear. She worked day and night. Her power flowed stronger than ever before, brighter, steadier, more controlled. But it wasn't enough. "I need help," she told Ethan. "I need to teach others." "Teach them what?" "Simple healing, basic herbs, things they can do when I'm not there." "Not?" Emma gathered the village women, mothers, daughters, grandmothers with gentle hands. She showed them which plants eased pain, how to make teas that fought infection, when to use cool cloths and when to use warm. Some were afraid at first. Magic was still frightening to them. But Emma was patient. She explained everything, showed them the difference between her gift and simple knowledge. "This," she said, holding up dried willow bark, "anyone can use. This comes from learning, not from power." Slowly, they began to trust, to learn, to help. Nipijro, Nadwaivo, Deja almost in order for bind protek long stroblide tinger, the nuffle to bride, the mass, the protek lice and a nictigord. The plague weakened, not because of Emma alone, but because of all of them working together. The village women became healers in their own right. They saved lives, they comforted families, they proved that healing came from the heart, not just from magic. Emma watched them work and felt something she'd never felt before. Pride, not in her power, but in what she'd built, what she'd taught, what they'd accomplished together. "You did this," Ethan said, finding her watching from the hill. "We did this. You started it. You trusted them with knowledge. You made them brave." Emma looked at him. "You made me brave first." "Qi, retwine o powerful ponti twi, nado post metao." That summer brought visitors, nobles from other lands who'd heard about the healing Duchess. They came expecting to see magic tricks, entertainment, something to gossip about at parties. Instead, they found a woman who worked with her hands, who knelt in dirt to tend gardens, who treated servants the same as lords. Some were disappointed, others were intrigued. Lady Catherine of Westmore stayed the longest. She watched Emma work for 3 days. "You're not what I expected," she finally said. "What did you expect?" "A sorceress, someone dark and mysterious, someone to fear." Emma smiled. "I'm just a woman who learned to use her gifts. That's what makes you extraordinary." Tor. Word reached the capital. The king himself sent a message. "Lady Cole, your reputation precedes you. The realm has need of healers. Will you come to court?" Emma stared at the letter. The royal court, where her parents had sent her away from, where power and politics mixed like poison. "I don't want to go," she told Ethan. "Then don't." "But the king serves the people, and you serve them better here." Emma felt relief wash over her. Ethan understood. He always understood. But she also felt something else. Curiosity. What if I could help more people? What if the court needs healing too? Ethan was quiet. "Then, what do you want to do?" No one had ever asked her that before. What she wanted, what she chose. Emma thought about it, really thought. "I want to stay here," she said finally. "This is my home, these are my people, but maybe we could invite the court to come here, to learn, to see what healing really looks like." Ethan smiled, actually smiled. "Now that is a perfect idea. I'm a new stem to you, but Tomkime Quatsdalo." The invitation went out in autumn. Come to Ashwood, see healing in action, learn what service truly means. Some nobles scoffed. Others were curious. A few, a precious few, came with genuine hearts. Emma prepared for weeks, not with fancy clothes or elaborate meals, but by making sure the village was ready, that the sick were cared for, that the work continued. "Let them see the real thing," she told her helpers. "Not a show, not a performance, just what we do." Time. Lapomthenfilhaum, Talcon and Permanso, Middle Gratami lay Lord Yilmam, Dickon Dickidal, to Horpilus Mission Hopenso, de Log of the Pommen Hope that Dodiotive, Dicker Darkle, a prof the Pelicted to Log when you had to word. The first night, Ethan found Emma in the garden. She was nervous, picking at her sleeves, worrying. "What if they think I'm fraud?" she asked. "What if they think you're a miracle?" "I'm neither. I'm just me." Ethan stepped closer, close enough that she could see the silver in his dark eyes. "That's exactly why they need to meet you." Something passed between them, a recognition, an understanding deeper than words. Emma's heart fluttered, not with fear this time, with something warmer, something that made her want to step closer instead of away. "Ethan." "Yes?" "Thank you for seeing me, for believing in me." He reached out, touched her cheek gently. "Thank you for letting me." "What, Pumice?" The first day of visits went well. Emma showed them her work. Let them see her treat a child's broken arm, a woman's difficult birth, an old man's failing heart. She used her power sparingly, showed them mostly the herbs, the knowledge, the care. "Anyone can learn this," she said. Power helps, but love heals more. Lord Harrison from the eastern provinces watched everything, asked questions, took notes. "Could you teach this in other places?" he asked. "Of course, that's the point. My lands need healers. We've lost so many to war and plague." Emma's heart jumped. "I could train teachers, people who could spread the knowledge. Would you?" She looked at Ethan. He nodded encouragement. "Yes," she said, "I would." Not. That evening there was a feast. Simple food, but plenty of it. Conversations flowed like wine. Emma sat beside Ethan, watched him talk with the visitors, saw how he listened more than he spoke, how he cared about their problems. "You're a good lord," she said quietly. "I learned from a good teacher." "Who?" "You showed me that power should serve, not rule." Emma's breath caught. When had he started looking at her like that? Like she was precious, like she was loved. "Emma," his voice was soft, uncertain, "I need to tell you something." Her heart raced. "What?" "I care about you, more than I should, more than I planned." The words hung in the air like falling stars. "More than you should?" Emma whispered. "We married for duty, for protection. I never meant to." "To what?" "To fall in love with you." "Your sast aprist patadult." The world stopped. Emma stared at him, at this strong, quiet, careful man who'd given her everything and asked for nothing. "You love me?" "I do." His voice was sure now, steady. "I love your kindness, your strength, the way you see good in everyone, the way you never give up." Tears filled Emma's eyes. "I love you too." It was the first time she'd ever said those words. They felt like flying, like coming home, like every good thing she'd ever dreamed. Ethan smiled, really smiled, the smile that had been hiding behind his careful walls. May I kiss you?" Emma nodded, heart pounding, hope soaring. He kissed her softly, gently, like she was something precious, something worth protecting. And for the first time in her life, Emma felt truly, completely loved. Week was like sand. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. Emma recognized the handwriting immediately, her mother's sharp, angry script. "Emma, we are coming to see what you have become. Your father has business with the Duke. Do not embarrass us further." Emma's hands shook. They were coming here, to her safe place, her home. "What's wrong?" Ethan asked, seeing her face. She showed him the letter, watched his jaw tighten. "When?" "Next week." Ethan took her hand. "They can't hurt you here. You don't know them. They'll try to take me back, or they'll tell everyone what I really am. Everyone already knows what you are, a healer, a good woman, my wife." But Emma's old fears crept back in, the cellar, the locks, the years of being called monster. Her parents arrived with fanfare, a large carriage, expensive clothes, servants to carry their bags. They looked prosperous now, success written in silk and gold. Emma met them in the main hall, Ethan beside her, steady and strong. Her mother looked older, thinner. Her eyes were still cold. Emma. No warmth, no joy at seeing her daughter, just assessment. Mother, father. Her father barely glanced at her. He was studying the castle, calculating its worth. "Lord Cole," he said to Ethan, "thank you for taking our difficult daughter." Ethan's voice was ice. "There's nothing difficult about Emma. She's remarkable." Her mother laughed, sharp, bitter. "Remarkable, is that what we're calling it now?" "Moment powerful porn, to win keen word. You can defab. No say motiv no, festiov, nadikeni, hordig and a prostin torn fettig and a words announced empowered tanda quotstor." The first dinner was tense. Emma's parents spoke around her, about her, never to her. She was always strange, her mother told the other guests. Born wrong, we tried to fix her, but some things can't be fixed. Emma sat silent. Old habits, old fears. But Ethan spoke up. Emma isn't broken. She's gifted. Gifted? Her father snorted. She's dangerous, unnatural. She's saved dozens of lives. She killed her own sister. The words hung in the air like poison. Emma went white. The old lie, the old blame. But this time, she wasn't alone. That's not true. Ethan's voice cut through the silence. And you know it. In tow. Later, in their room, Emma broke down. They'll never stop, she sobbed. They'll always see me as the monster who killed Sarah. Ethan held her, let her cry. Then he said, "Tell me what really happened." Emma had never told anyone the full truth, the real story. Sarah was born first, she whispered, but she wasn't breathing. The cord was wrapped around her neck. She was blue, dying. Ethan listened, silent, patient. I touched her. I was just a baby, but my power was already there. I gave her my life force, my strength. You saved her. For 10 minutes, then she died anyway. But my parents, they said I stole her breath, that I killed her to make myself stronger. That's not what happened. How do you know? Because I know you. You give life. You don't take it. The next morning brought worse news. Emma's parents had been talking, spreading stories, telling people that Emma was dangerous. Some villagers were starting to whisper, starting to doubt. Maybe we should leave, Emma said. Go somewhere else. No, Ethan was firm. We don't run from lies. But Emma could see the fear returning, in faces that had been kind, in voices that had been grateful. Her parents' poison was working. That afternoon, a child fell from a tree, badly hurt, bleeding. Emma ran to help, but the child's mother pulled him away. "Don't touch him," she screamed. "You'll curse him." Emma's heart shattered. These people, she'd saved their children, healed their families, and now, you see, her mother said quietly, this is what you are, what you'll always be. Emma felt the old darkness creeping in, the shame, the certainty that maybe her parents were right. Maybe she was a monster after all.
Why?
That night, Emma sat in her garden, her sanctuary, her place of peace. But even here, she felt alone. Ethan found her there, sat beside her without words. "They're right," she finally said. "I am dangerous." No. That woman today, she was terrified of me. She was terrified of lies, of stories, not of you. Emma shook her head. Maybe I should go back with them. Maybe that's where I belong. Ethan turned to face her, his eyes fierce. You belong here, with me, with people who love you. But what if? No. His voice was stronger now. I've watched you for months. I've seen your heart, your soul. You are not dangerous. You are not evil. You are not a monster. Then what am I? You're Emma. You're brilliant and kind and brave. You're the woman who saves lives, who builds hope, who makes the world better just by being in it. Too far, Ging. The next morning brought a crisis, a fire in the village, a family trapped. Emma heard the screams, saw the smoke. She ran without thinking, power blazing, ready to help, but the crowd held her back. "Don't let her near," someone shouted. "She might make it worse." Emma stopped, stunned. These people, her people, they feared her now. The family screamed inside the burning house, a child crying, a woman begging for help, and Emma stood frozen, powerful enough to save them, but too feared to try. Then Ethan was there, pushing through the crowd. "Let her pass," he commanded. "But my lord, what if she saves them? What if we let them die because of fear? Jon tempel I Torbingen. Wits the paisamt well hubble the powerful drucken but mule, tustem gosalb. Emma looked at the burning house, then at the crowd, then at Ethan. He nodded. Go. She walked forward, power flowing, light blazing from her hands. The crowd gasped, whispered. Some ran, but Emma didn't stop. She touched the burning walls. Her power flowed into the wood. The flames died. The smoke cleared. She pulled the family out, one by one, safe, alive, unharmed. The child looked up at her. Are you an angel? Emma almost laughed, almost cried. No, sweetheart, I'm just someone who cares. Tulp. The crowd was silent, watching, waiting, waiting. Then the child's mother stepped forward, knelt before Emma. Thank you, she whispered. You saved my babies. One by one, others came forward. People Emma had healed, had helped, had loved, had loved. She delivered my son safely. She cured my father's fever. She taught my daughter to be brave. Emma's parents stood at the edge of the crowd, faces pale, plans crumbling. Her mother tried one last time. She's still dangerous. She could turn on you. But the baker's wife laughed. Dangerous? She's the gentlest soul in the village. She gives everything and asks for nothing. She's our healer, our friend, our blessing. Emma looked at her parents, really looked, and for the first time she didn't see powerful figures who controlled her fate. She saw two small, frightened, bitter people who had never learned to love. I'm sorry, she said quietly. Her mother blinked. For what? That you're so afraid of love, you can't recognize it. That you're so afraid of power, you can't see goodness. That you're so afraid of being different, you tried to destroy what made your daughter special. Her father stepped forward, angry. How dare you? No. Emma's voice was steady, strong. How dare you? How dare you call love evil? How dare you call healing dangerous? How dare you try to make me ashamed of who I am? She stood straighter, taller. I am not your monster. I am not your mistake. I am not your shame. I am Emma Cole. I am a healer. I am loved. And I am done being afraid of you. The picking-eyed and also dusing divtum. Du Penive. Her parents left that afternoon, quietly, without ceremony, without goodbye. Emma watched their carriage disappear and felt nothing. No sadness, no relief, just peace. Ethan wrapped his arms around her from behind. How do you feel? Emma leaned back against his chest. Solid, warm, home. Free, she said. Finally, completely free. That evening, the village held a celebration, not because her parents left, but because Emma stayed. Because she chose them, chose love, chose herself. And as Emma danced under the stars with her husband, with her people, with her chosen family, she knew she was finally where she belonged. Not hidden away, not apologizing for existing, but shining, healing, living, being exactly who she was meant to be. Times de prito probit signed a based of one, de prito en ukapist of one, probit signed of x, de prito and hub, one cook fasti quist of sign, de prito and wada probit side. Word travelled fast after Emma's stand against her parents. Not gossip this time, not whispered fears, but stories of courage, of a woman who chose love over fear, of healing that went beyond medicine to touch hearts. Letters came from across the realm, requests for help, invitations to teach, pleas for guidance. The kingdom needs what you have, Ethan said, reading through the latest batch. Emma looked at the letters. So many people hurting, so many places that needed hope. I can't go everywhere, she said. No, but you can teach others to go. Talk. They started small, a school in the castle, 10 women from nearby villages who wanted to learn. Emma taught them everything, herbs and healing, but also something more important. Your power doesn't come from magic, she told them. It comes from caring, from refusing to let people suffer when you can help. The women learned quickly. They returned to their villages as teachers themselves, spreading knowledge like seeds. Within a year, there were 50 trained healers across the northern provinces. Within 2, there were hundreds. Each one carried Emma's message, that healing was about love, that power should serve, that everyone deserved care. Time. You'd Lumbienya Justice. The royal court took notice, but not in the way Emma had feared. The queen herself came to visit, quietly, without fanfare. She was younger than Emma expected, tired, worn down by the weight of crown and duty. "I've heard stories about you," she said, "about what you've built here. We built it together, all of us." The queen looked around, at the thriving village, the happy people, the sense of community. "I want to learn," she said simply. So Emma taught her, not healing. The queen had no gift for that. But leadership, service, how to build instead of just ruling. "A crown is just another tool," Emma said. "Like my hands, like knowledge. It's how you use it that matters." Years passed. Emma's network of healers grew into something beautiful, a web of caring that stretched across the kingdom. But more than that, it changed how people thought about power, about service, about what it meant to be strong. Noble families began sending their daughters to train with Emma, not to learn magic, but to learn purpose. "She taught my girl that privilege is responsibility," one lord wrote, "that having power means using it for others." Emma read the letter and smiled. James would have loved this, Ethan's gentle brother who believed in helping everyone. Sometimes, late at night, Emma thought she felt James's approval in the wind through the oak tree. "Butheit," and the peaceful hopties. The greatest test came during the plague of Emma's 5th year at Ashwood. It was worse than the first, faster spreading, more deadly. Emma's healers worked tirelessly, but it wasn't enough. People died, good people, children, elders, friends. Emma pushed herself to the breaking point, used her power until her hands bled light, until she collapsed from exhaustion. "You can't save everyone," Ethan said, holding her as she cried. "Then what's the point of having power?" "The point is saving who you can, teaching others to save more, building something that lasts beyond any one person." Nobelittled. He was right. Emma's network held. Her trained healers worked miracles, not just with medicine, but with hope. They organized food distribution, comforted the grieving, kept communities together when fear threatened to tear them apart. The plague passed, the kingdom survived, and when it was over, people remembered not just Emma's power, but everyone's power, the power to care, to help, to choose love over fear. "You did that," the Queen said during her next visit. "You changed how we think about strength." Emma shook her head. "We all did that, together." But privately, she felt proud, not of her magic, but of what she'd built, what she'd inspired. A kingdom where power served love, where healing mattered more than wealth, where everyone had the chance to shine, just like she had. 10 years later, Emma stood in her garden on a spring morning, the same garden where she'd first found her confidence, where she'd first felt truly safe. But everything was different now, better. The garden bloomed with flowers from across the kingdom, gifts from people she'd trained, lives she'd touched, communities she'd helped heal, roses from the northern mountains, lilies from the southern valleys, herbs from every province where her healers worked. A living map of love spreading across the land.
Tomaklated tamsel and sign of BP, but tomaklated tamsel captain up laden to all meat bast, punting pen dance, sign.
Ethan found her there, as he did every morning. His hair was touched with silver now, lines around his eyes from years of smiling. "The morning letters," he said, handing her a bundle. Emma read through them, updates from her healers, success stories, new challenges, requests for advice. Lady Sarah, in the eastern provinces, has trained 12 new healers this year, she read aloud. Master Julia reports that infant mortality in the coal mining region has dropped by half. Each letter was a life changed, a community strengthened, a future made brighter. "Are you proud?" Ethan asked. Emma considered the question. Pride had been dangerous once, something her parents used against her. But now, yes, she said. "I'm proud of what we've all accomplished together." Toy. That afternoon brought visitors, a delegation from across the sea. They'd heard about Emma's network, wanted to learn, to take the knowledge back to their own lands. "How do we start?" they asked. "How do we build what you've built?" Emma smiled. The same question she'd been asked 100 times. The answer was always the same. You start with one person who cares, one person willing to help, one person brave enough to use whatever power they have for good. That's all. That's everything. The rest grows from there. Shots to mention, the incovid question, tutor in fortam pictai. Evening came soft and golden. Emma and Ethan walked through the village together, their village, their people, their family. Children ran laughing through the streets, healthy children whose lives had been saved by Emma's network. Women gathered to share healing knowledge, teaching each other, supporting each other. Men worked alongside them as equals, because Emma had shown them that strength came in many forms. "Do you ever regret it?" Ethan asked as they climbed the hill to their castle, "staying here instead of seeing the world?" Emma looked back at the village, then at the letters in her hands, then at the man who'd given her everything. "The world came to us," she said. "Everyone I needed to touch, everyone who needed to learn, they all found their way here. And now they carry it forward, to places I'll never see, to people I'll never meet, but who'll be touched by this, by us, by what we started." Toaded. That night, they sat by their fire, the same fire where Emma had first felt loved, where she'd first believed in herself. "Tell me again," Emma said, "about the day you decided to marry me." It was an old game between them, a favorite story. "I thought you were dangerous," Ethan said, settling her against his shoulder. "I was dangerous. You were powerful. I thought I was protecting the kingdom from you. And instead, you protected the kingdom for me, for all of us." Emma smiled. "We protected it together." "Together," he agreed. Tasson. Outside, snow began to fall, the first snow of winter, but inside their castle, inside their life, everything was warm. Emma thought about the scared girl who'd arrived 10 years ago, broken, beaten down, convinced she was a monster. That girl was still here, part of Emma's story, but no longer the whole story. Now she was Emma Cole, healer, teacher, leader, beloved, wife to a man who saw her heart, mother to a movement that would outlive them both, friend to a kingdom that was better because she'd chosen to stay. "What are you thinking about?" Ethan asked. "Everything," Emma said. "Nothing, just how strange life is, how it can surprise you."
Good surprises.
The best surprises. Later, much later, Emma stood at her window, looking out at the stars, the same stars that had watched over her in the cellar, in the carriage, during her first terrified night at Ashwood. But she wasn't that frightened girl anymore. She'd grown into her power, into her purpose, into herself. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new people to help, new ways to spread healing across the world. But tonight, she was simply grateful. for love found, for gifts used well, for a life lived in service to something larger than herself. She was Emma Cole. She was powerful. She was loved. And she was finally completely home. Tonk Pustafall, Buldi of Tong, Buldi of Meng. The end. The end. Rain fell on the grand house. Inside, Clara sat by her window. She was 20 years old, plain face, sharp mind, a slight limp from birth. Her mother's voice cut through the hall. "Clara, come here, now." Clara limped down the stairs. Her heart sank. She knew that tone. "Look at you," her mother said. Cold eyes, tight lips, still limping, still plain. What man would want you? Her sister Emma laughed. Pretty Emma. Perfect Emma. Maybe a blind one, she said. Clara's cheeks burned. She looked down. Her hands shook. "I have an idea for the harvest," Clara said softly. "We could sell herbs to—" "Quiet," her father snapped. "No one asked you." Clara bit her lip. She always had good ideas, smart plans, but no one listened. They saw her limp first, her plain face second, her mind never. That evening, her father called her to his study. His face was stone. "You will marry Lord Bram," he said. No warmth, no care. Clara's blood froze. The monster? "Yes, he needs a wife. We need his gold. You need a husband, any husband." People whispered about Lord Bram. They said he was dark, cruel, cold as winter. Some said he hurt people. Others said he never smiled. "Father, please. It's done. You leave in 3 days." Clara ran to her room. She threw herself on her bed. Tears came like rain, hot and endless. Her mother found her there. "Stop crying," she said. "This is more than you deserve. A monster for a monster." The words cut deep. Clara turned to face the wall. "I'm not a monster," she whispered. But her mother was already gone. That night, Clara stared at the ceiling. Fear filled her chest. But then something else grew, something stronger. "I will survive this," she told herself. "I will endure." She wiped her tears, her jaw set firm. "I am stronger than they think." The rain kept falling, but Clara had stopped crying. 3 days felt like 3 minutes. Too fast, too soon. Her bag was packed, her plain dress pressed, her heart ready for battle. "Remember," her mother said at the door, "don't shame us more than you already have." Clara looked back once, at the cold house, the cold family, the cold life she knew. Then she climbed into the carriage. The horses moved forward. Behind her, whispers followed. "Poor Lord Bram," someone said, getting stuck with her. Clara closed her eyes, her hands made fists. "We'll see," she said quietly. "We'll see." Lord Bram stood in his study, tall, broad shoulders, scars on his hands from old battles. His face was serious. Some called it cruel. The truth was different. He read Clara's letter, her father's words, cold business talk. Nothing about the girl herself. "She has a limp," the letter said. "Plain face, but she can read. She won't cause trouble." Bram set the letter down. He looked out his window. Hills rolled green and peaceful. His home was quiet, safe, far from the noise of town. People feared him. He knew this. War had marked him, left scars on his body, left pain in his heart, but he was not cruel. He sought peace now, simple days, honest work, and perhaps a partner who might understand. He didn't need a pretty wife. Pretty wives wanted parties, wanted to show off, wanted things he couldn't give. He needed someone real, someone who knew what pain felt like, someone who might see past his scars to find him. His housekeeper, Mrs. Rose, knocked. "Sir, the room is ready for your bride." Bram nodded. "Fresh flowers." "Yes, sir. And her favorite books, if she likes to read." Good. She might be scared. Make sure she feels welcome. Mrs. Rose smiled. She had worked for Bram for years. She knew his heart. She's lucky, sir, even if she doesn't know it yet. Bram's mouth almost smiled. Almost. We'll see, Mrs. Rose. We'll see. That evening, Bram sat by his fire. He thought about war, about blood, about the men he'd killed to protect others. People saw those scars. They made up stories, dark stories, monster stories. But killing to save innocent people, that wasn't evil. That was duty. Hard duty. Painful duty. But right. He hoped Clara might understand this. Someday, he hoped she might see him, really see him. Not the monster people whispered about, just a man. A tired man who wanted peace, who wanted someone to share quiet evenings with, someone to talk to, someone to care for, someone who might perhaps care for him too. The fire crackled. Bram closed his eyes. Tomorrow she would arrive. Tomorrow his life would change. He prayed it would change for the better. For both of them. The carriage stopped. Clara's hands shook. The driver opened her door. "Bram Hall, miss," he said quietly. "Kind eyes. Good luck." Clara stepped down. Her legs felt weak. The house rose before her like a mountain. Dark stone, tall windows, but flowers grew near the door. The gardens looked cared for. Heavy footsteps came closer. Clara's heart hammered. Then he appeared. Lord Bram was tall, very tall. His face was serious. Scars marked his hands. His clothes were simple but clean. Clara waited for harsh words, for cold stares, for cruelty. Instead, he bowed, deep and respectful. "Lady Clara," he said. His voice was calm, deep, gentle. "Welcome to your new home." She stared. This was not what she expected. "Thank you," she whispered. He stepped aside, gestured to the door. "You must be tired and hungry." Clara limped forward. She felt his eyes on her, waiting for him to comment, to mock, to show disgust. He said nothing. He simply walked beside her, matching her slower pace. The inside was warm. Fires burned in hearths. Candles gave soft light. It felt peaceful. "Mrs. Rose will show you to your room," Bram said. "Dinner in an hour, if you wish." Clara nodded, still scared, still confused. An older woman appeared. Warm smile, gentle hands. "This way, dear," Mrs. Rose said. "I've prepared everything just for you." Clara followed up the stairs. Her room was beautiful. Clean bed, fresh flowers, books on a small table. "Books?" Clara asked. "Lord Bram thought you might like to read," Mrs. Rose said. "He has many books. You're welcome to any of them." Clara touched a book cover. Soft leather, well cared for. He reads?" "Oh yes, dear. Every evening. Sometimes he reads aloud to the staff. Beautiful voice he has." This didn't match the stories. Monsters didn't read. Monsters didn't put flowers in guest rooms. Clara washed her face, changed her dress. Her hands still shook, but less now. Dinner was set in a small room, not the grand hall, somewhere cozy, warm. Bram stood when she entered, pulled out her chair. "I hope you like simple food," he said. "We grow most of it here." The table held fresh bread, warm soup, roasted meat that smelled wonderful. Clara waited. Surely this was a trick. The food must be poisoned, or spoiled, or... Bram served himself first, ate normally, no poison then. He poured wine into her cup, his own hands. No servant did it. Are you not afraid I'll poison you?" Clara asked. The words slipped out. Bram looked surprised, then sad. "Why would I poison my wife?" he asked gently. Clara had no answer. They ate in quiet, not uncomfortable quiet, just peaceful quiet. "The gardens are beautiful," Clara said finally. "Thank you. I tend them myself. Do you like flowers?" "Yes. My mother never let me—" She stopped. "Too much information." "Never let you what?" "Touch them," she said. "I would ruin them." Bram's jaw tightened, but not at her mother's words. "Here, you may touch any flower you wish," he said. "You may pick them, arrange them, plant new ones if you like." Clara's eyes filled with tears. No one had ever said such things to her. "Thank you," she whispered. After dinner, Bram walked her to her door. "Sleep well, Clara," he said. "Tomorrow we can talk about whatever you wish." He didn't try to touch her, didn't demand anything, just kindness. Clara closed her door, leaned against it. This was not what she had expected, not at all. Maybe the stories were wrong. Maybe he wasn't a monster after all. Morning came with soft light. Clara woke slowly, no harsh voices, no cold commands, just peace. A knock at her door. Mrs. Rose entered with a tray. "Good morning, dear. Lord Bram thought you might like breakfast in your room today. Fresh eggs, warm bread with honey, tea that smelled like flowers." "Where is he?" Clara asked. "In the garden. He starts early. Always has." Clara ate slowly, looking out her window. She could see him below, kneeling by roses, his large hands gentle with small blooms. When she went downstairs, he looked up, smiled slightly. "Good morning. Did you sleep well?" "Yes, very well." He stood, brushed dirt from his knees. "Would you like to see the gardens, or would you prefer to rest more?" Clara almost said rest. Safe answer, easy answer, but something made her brave. "The gardens, please." They walked together. He pointed out different flowers, told her their names, asked her opinions. "This section gets too much sun," he said. "I can't decide what to plant." Clara studied the spot. Herbs might work. They like sun, and they're useful too. Bram stopped walking, looked at her with interest. "What kinds of herbs?" "Well, mint for tea, lavender for soap, rosemary for cooking, sage for—" She stopped. Was she talking too much? "Please continue." "Sage for healing, small cuts and such. My grandmother taught me, before she died." "That sounds perfect. Would you help me plan it?" Clara's heart jumped. "You want my help?" "Very much." No one had ever wanted her help before. Her ideas, her thoughts. "Yes," she said, "I would like that." They spent the morning planning, drawing sketches in the dirt, talking about which herbs grew well together. For lunch, they sat in the small dining room again. Clara felt less afraid, more. "May I ask you something?" she said. "Anything." "Why did you agree to marry me?" my father said. "He said you needed gold. But this house is beautiful. You don't seem poor." Bram was quiet for a moment. "I'm not poor. I don't need your father's gold." "Then why?" "Because I hoped to find someone who might understand what it's like to be judged before being known." Clara's breath caught. "The stories about you are mostly false. I fought in wars, yes. I killed men, yes. But only to protect others, only when I had no choice. People fear you because you're a soldier. People fear what they don't understand. A man who lives alone, who has scars, who doesn't attend their parties or court their daughters." Clara nodded slowly. "People judge me too, for my limp, my plain face." "You're not plain." The words were soft, simple, but they hit Clara like lightning. What?" "You have kind eyes, a gentle voice, a sharp mind. These are not plain things." Clara felt heat in her cheeks. No one had ever called her beautiful, but this felt better than beautiful. That afternoon, Bram showed her his library, walls of books, more books than Clara had ever seen. "You may read any of them," he said, "or I could read to you if you prefer." "You would read to me, if you'd like." Clara chose a book about healing plants. Bram sat in a chair nearby. She curled up on a window seat. They read in comfortable silence. Occasionally, Clara would look up, find him watching her with gentle eyes. "What?" she would ask. "Nothing, just it's nice, having someone here." Clara felt the same. For the first time in her life she felt wanted, not tolerated, not endured, wanted. At dinner, Bram asked about her day, really asked, really listened to her answers. "The herb garden will be beautiful," he said. "When do we start planting?" "Tomorrow, if the weather holds." "Perfect." He walked her to her room again. Still no demands, still no expectations, just kindness. "Good night, Clara." "Good night, Bram." It was the first time she'd used his name. He smiled, a real smile, warm and genuine. Clara closed her door, but this time she wasn't scared. This time she was. Days passed like pages in a good book. Clara woke each morning with less fear, more hope. She started working in the herb garden. Her hands grew dirty, her back grew strong, her heart grew proud. The workers noticed her. At first, they watched carefully, waiting to see if she was cruel like other noble ladies. But Clara was different. When young Tom cut his hand on a fence, she cleaned it, wrapped it with soft cloth, used healing herbs her grandmother had taught her about. "Thank you, my lady," Tom said, real gratitude in his voice. "Just Clara," she said. "We're all just people here." Word spread. The new lady was kind, helpful, smart about healing. When the baker's wife fell sick, they brought her to Clara. Clara made a tea from mint and ginger. The woman felt better in hours. "You have a gift," Mrs. Rose told her. Clara looked at her hands, stained with herbs, rough from work, but capable, useful. "I never knew," Clara said. "No one ever let me try." Bram found her in the garden one evening. She was grinding dried sage into powder, concentrating hard. "You look different," he said. Clara looked up. "Different how?" "Confident, strong, like you belong here." Clara felt warmth spread through her chest. "I feel different. I feel useful." "You are useful. More than useful, you're needed." Needed. The word was magic to Clara's ears. "The workers trust you," Bram continued. "They come to me less now. They go to you instead." "Is that bad?" "It's wonderful. It means they see what I see." "What do you see?" Bram stepped closer. His eyes were serious, kind. "I see a woman who cares for others, who uses her gifts to help, who makes everyone around her better." Clara's heart hammered. No one had ever seen her this way. "I see someone worth respecting," Bram said softly. That night, Clara stood before her mirror, really looked at herself. Her face was still plain, her limp still there, but something else had changed. Her shoulders were straight, her chin was up, her eyes held strength. She thought about her mother's words. Monster, useless, shameful. But looking at herself now, Clara saw something different. She saw a healer, a helper, a woman with purpose. She saw someone who mattered. The next morning brought new challenges. A child from the village had fever. His mother carried him to Clara, tears streaming. "Please, my lady, please help him." Clara felt fear rise up. What if she made him worse? What if she failed? Then she looked at Bram. He stood quietly nearby, trust in his eyes. Clara took a deep breath. She knew herbs. She knew healing. She could do this. She made a careful tea, cooled the child's skin with wet cloths, spoke gently to calm his fears. Hours passed. Slowly the fever broke. The child opened his eyes, smiled. His mother wept with joy. You saved him. You saved my boy. Clara felt tears on her own cheeks, but these were happy tears, proud tears. She had done this. Her knowledge, her skill, her care. For the first time in her life, Clara felt truly proud of who she was. Bram took her hand, squeezed gently. "Well done," he said. Simple words, but they meant everything. That evening, they sat by the fire, reading together as they often did now. "Clara," Bram said softly.
Yes.
"You know you're remarkable, don't you?" Clara's heart fluttered. "I'm just me." "Exactly. And just you is remarkable." Clara closed her book, looked at this man who had given her so much: safety, respect, purpose, kindness. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me, really seeing me." Bram's eyes were tender. "Thank you for letting me." Outside, wind moved through trees. Inside, two people who had been alone were alone no longer. Clara felt something growing in her chest, something warm and strong and wonderful. Something that might be love. Rain fell again that evening, but this time Clara didn't feel sad watching it. She and Bram sat by the fire, books in their laps, but neither was reading. "May I tell you something?" Clara asked quietly. "Always." Clara took a breath. I used to believe I was cursed, that God made me wrong, with my limp, my plain face." Bram set down his book, listened carefully. "My mother said it every day. Clara the curse, Clara the mistake. Even my sister," Clara's voice caught. "Even your sister." "What?" "She said I was lucky to marry anyone, even a monster." Bram's jaw tightened. Their words were cruel and wrong. But I believed them. For 20 years, I believed I was less broken, wrong. Clara looked at Bram. His face was gentle, patient. "What changed?" he asked. "You, this place, the way people look at me here, like I matter. You do matter." I'm starting to believe that. They sat in comfortable quiet. Fire crackled. Rain tapped the windows. "May I tell you something?" Bram asked. Clara nodded. "I know what it's like to be called a monster." Bram stared into the fire, his hands clasped together. "In the war, I had to make hard choices. Kill or watch innocent people die." Clara waited. She could see pain in his eyes. "I chose to kill, to protect others. But when I came home," Bram's voice was rough. "People whispered, called me dangerous, cold, monster. But you saved people." "Yes, but they only saw the killing, not the saving." Clara understood. "They judged you without knowing." "Just like they judged you." Their eyes met across the firelight. Two people who knew what it meant to be misunderstood, to be labeled, to be feared. "It's lonely," Clara whispered. "Very lonely." More silence, but it wasn't empty silence. It was full of understanding. "Clara," Bram said softly. "Yes. I want you to know what they said about you was lies, all of it." Clara felt tears rise. "What they said about you was lies too." Bram smiled, small but real. "We're quite a pair, aren't we? The monster and the curse." Clara laughed. Actually laughed. "When you put it like that. We sound like characters in a story." "What kind of story?" Bram's eyes grew warm. "The kind where the broken people find each other and discover they weren't broken after all." Clara's heart fluttered. "Is that what this is?" "I hope so." The fire popped. Sparks flew up the chimney. "Bram," Clara said carefully. "Yes?" "When we married, I was terrified. I thought you would hurt me, use me, throw me away when you got tired of me. And now," Clara looked at his scarred hands, his serious face, his kind eyes. Now I think you might be the first person who's ever truly cared about me. Bram's breath caught. Clara, I know this marriage wasn't about love. It was business, arrangement. It started that way, Bram agreed quietly. Started. Bram leaned forward, his eyes intense. Clara, somewhere between the herb garden and the healing and the quiet evenings, somewhere in there, I stopped thinking of you as my arranged wife. Clara's pulse quickened. What do you think of me as? As the woman I was meant to find, the person who makes this house a home, the partner I never dared hope for. Tears slipped down Clara's cheeks. Happy tears. I feel the same, she whispered. Do you? Yes, you make me feel valuable, important, like I have something to offer. You have everything to offer. They sat closer now, not touching yet, but close. I was so afraid, Clara said, for so long afraid of being hurt, rejected, thrown away. You're safe here, with me, always. Promise? Promise. Clara reached out slowly, took Bram's scarred hand in hers. Your scars don't make you a monster, she said softly. Your limp doesn't make you a curse, he replied. They held hands in the firelight, two wounded people who had found healing in each other. Outside, the storm grew stronger, but inside, two hearts grew warmer. Love was growing, slowly, carefully, but surely. And for the first time in both their lives, neither felt alone. 3 weeks later, riders came to Bram Hall. Clara saw them from her garden. Her blood turned cold. Her family's colors, her family's crest. Clara. Her mother's voice cut across the courtyard like a blade. Clara stood slowly, dirt on her dress, herbs in her hands, confidence in her posture. But seeing her mother made her feel small again, scared again. Emma climbed down from her horse. Still beautiful, still perfect, still cruel. Look at you, Emma said with a sneer, playing in the dirt like a servant. I'm tending my garden, Clara said quietly. Her mother approached, cold eyes, tight mouth, no warmth at all. We heard disturbing news, she said. People say you're helping, working, acting above your station. I'm helping people heal. You're embarrassing us. A lady doesn't work with her hands, doesn't get dirty, doesn't lower herself. Bram appeared at Clara's side, tall, strong, protective. Lady Clara is welcome to pursue any interests she chooses, he said firmly. Emma looked Bram up and down, her lip curled. So this is the monster, she said. He looks normal. How disappointing. Emma, Clara warned. What? Did you expect me to be afraid? He's just a man, a scarred, broken man who settled for you. Clara felt the old shame rising, the old fear. Her mother stepped closer to Bram. We need to speak privately. Anything you say can be said in front of my wife. Wife? Emma laughed. Is that what you call this arrangement? They moved to the house. Clara's legs felt weak. Her confidence was cracking. In the sitting room, her mother took control. We've learned some interesting facts about you, Lord Bram, such as you fought against our cousin, Lord Edward, in the border wars. Clara's heart stopped. She looked at Bram. His face had gone stone cold. I fought against many people in the wars, he said carefully. You killed his son, our nephew. James was only 19. The room went silent. Clara stared at Bram. Her mouth opened, but no words came. It was war, Bram said quietly. I killed to protect. You killed family, Emma hissed. Our family. Clara felt the world spinning. Is it true? Bram looked at her, pain in his eyes. Yes, but Clara, you have to understand. You killed my cousin. Clara's voice was small. broken. He was trying to kill innocent villagers. I had to stop him. But you never told me. No, I didn't. Clara's mother smiled coldly. Now do you see? This marriage was never about kindness. It was about guilt. He took one of ours, so he settled for taking the worthless one as payment. That's not true, Bram said firmly. Isn't it? Tell me, Lord Bram, when my husband offered Clara, didn't you see it as fitting justice? Bram was quiet too long. Too long. Clara felt her heart breaking. Did you marry me because you felt guilty? Clara, it's complicated. Yes or no? Bram's silence was answer enough. Clara stood slowly, her legs shook, her world was falling apart. So everything, the kindness, the respect, the caring, it was all guilt? No, Clara, what I feel for you is real. But it started as guilt. Yes, but... Clara turned away, tears falling now. I need to be alone. She walked to her room, slowly, carefully. Each step hurt. Behind her she heard Emma's laugh. Poor Clara, always the last to know. In her room, Clara sat on her bed, stared at her hands, her useful hands, her healing hands. Had it all been lies, the respect, the partnership, the growing love? Was she still just the worthless daughter, the payment for a debt? Outside her door, she heard Bram's voice. Clara, please, let me explain. But Clara couldn't listen. Not yet, maybe not ever. The fairy tale was over. The monster was real after all. Not cruel, not violent, but worse. He was guilty, and she was his penance. Everything she'd believed about herself, about them, about her worth, it was built on guilt and lies. Clara cried into her pillow, deep, broken sobs. She had been so stupid, so naive, so desperate for love that she'd believed in a dream. But dreams end, and monsters are still monsters. Even when they're kind. Clara spent 2 days in her room, crying, thinking, hurting. But on the third morning, something changed. She looked in her mirror, saw her red eyes, her pale face, her slumped shoulders. This was the old Clara, the broken Clara, the worthless Clara. But was she still that person? Really? Clara thought about the past months, the healing she'd done, the people she'd helped, the respect she'd earned. Had that been guilt too? Had Tom thanked her out of guilt? Had the sick child's mother wept with joy out of guilt? No. Clara stood straighter, looked deeper into the mirror. The work she'd done was real, the healing was real, the help she'd given was real. Maybe Bram's reasons for marrying her had been wrong, but that didn't make everything wrong. Clara washed her face, brushed her hair, put on her best dress. She had things to say, and for the first time in her life, she was going to say them. Downstairs, her family sat in the parlor, drinking tea, making cruel jokes, acting like they owned the place. Bram stood by the window, alone, miserable. Clara entered the room, her back straight, her chin up, her voice clear. I have something to say. Emma rolled her eyes. Oh good, the invalid wants to speak. Emma, Clara said firmly, be quiet. Emma's mouth dropped open. Clara had never spoken to her like that, ever. Clara turned to her mother. You came here to hurt me, to break me, to take away the first happiness I've ever known. Clara, don't be dramatic. I'm not finished. The room fell silent. Even Bram turned to stare. Clara's voice grew stronger. You called me worthless, useless, a curse. For 20 years I believed you. Because it's true, her mother said coldly. No, it's not. Clara stepped into the center of the room, all eyes on her. I have healed sick children. I have saved lives. I have earned respect from people who don't even know my name. You're just playing at being important. I am important. Clara's voice rang out strong and clear. I matter. I have value. I have worth that has nothing to do with my face or my limp or your approval. Her mother stood up, angry now. How dare you? How dare I what? Tell the truth. Stand up for myself. Refuse to let you hurt me anymore. Clara turned to Emma. And you, beautiful, perfect Emma, what have you ever done for anyone? What lives have you saved? What good have you brought to the world? Emma sputtered. No answer came. That's what I thought, Clara said. Now she faced her mother directly. You want to know what's really true. You're jealous. Jealous? Of you? Yes, because I found something you never have. I found purpose. I found respect. I found people who value me for who I am, not what I look like. Clara's voice softened but stayed strong. And yes, mother, I found love, real love, from a good man who sees my worth. She turned to Bram. His eyes were wide, hopeful. Yes, Bram, I know you married me out of guilt. I know this started wrong. Bram started to speak. Clara held up her hand. But I also know what happened after that. I know how you treat me, how you listen to me, how you respect me, how you care for me. Clara's voice grew tender. I know the difference between guilt and love, and what I see in your eyes, that's not guilt anymore. Clara, Bram whispered. Maybe we started wrong, but we can choose how we continue. Clara faced her family one last time. You came here to destroy my happiness, to convince me I'm worthless, to take away my confidence. She smiled, a strong, sure smile. You failed. Her mother's face was red with rage. You ungrateful little... I'm not little anymore, and I'm not yours to control. Clara walked to Bram's side, took his hand. This is my husband. This is my home. This is my life. And you are not welcome in it. The room was dead silent. I want you to leave, Clara said clearly. Now, Clara, her mother gasped. Leave, and don't come back. I have nothing more to say to you, ever. Her mother and Emma looked shocked, helpless. For the first time in Clara's life, they had no power over her. They left, angry and defeated. Clara watched them go, then turned to Bram. Now, she said gently, we need to talk. Clara and Bram sat in the garden. Among the herbs Clara had planted, the herbs that had given her purpose. I'm sorry, Bram said quietly, for not telling you about your cousin, for starting this marriage with the wrong reasons. Clara nodded. It hurt, finding out that way, from them. I should have told you myself, long ago. Yes, you should have. They sat in silence. Bees hummed in the lavender. Life continued around them. Can you forgive me? Bram asked. Clara considered this, really considered it. Tell me about my cousin. The truth, all of it. Bram took a deep breath. James was young, angry. He and his men were burning villages, killing families who couldn't pay taxes. Clara listened carefully. I tried to stop them peacefully first. I begged him to withdraw, but he wouldn't listen. He said the villagers deserved to die for being poor. So you fought him? Yes, to protect innocent people, children, mothers, old people who had done nothing wrong. Clara could picture it. Bram facing a choice, let innocents die or stop the killing. When your father offered me marriage to you, yes, I saw it as justice, payment for taking a life. The words still hurt, but Clara understood now. But Clara, Bram continued, his voice intense, that feeling lasted exactly one day. One day? The day you arrived, the day I saw you, scared but brave, gentle but strong. That's when everything changed. Clara felt her heart warming. You weren't payment anymore. You were you, a woman worth knowing, worth caring for, worth loving. When did you know you loved me? Bram smiled softly. When you saved that child's life, I watched you work, saw your skill, your compassion, your strength, and I thought, this woman is extraordinary. Clara's eyes filled with tears, happy tears. I love you too, she whispered. Not because you're perfect, but because you're good, really good, deep down good. Even knowing about your cousin, you saved innocent people. That makes you a hero, not a monster. Bram reached for her hands. Can we start over? Really start over? With truth this time? Clara smiled. Yes, but not as different people, as who we really are. Who are we really? You're a good man who's made hard choices, who protects people, who's kind and gentle and strong. And you? I'm a healer, a helper, a woman with value and purpose and strength, a woman worth loving. Yes, you are. They kissed then, soft and sweet, a kiss of new beginnings. Over the next weeks, news spread through the villages, the story of Clara standing up to her cruel family, of her speaking with strength and courage. People came from farther away now, seeking Clara's healing, her wisdom, her help. Lady Clara, they called her, but with respect, real respect. The local lord visited. He'd heard about Clara's skills. My wife is with child, he said. We've lost babies before. Could you help her? Clara agreed. She spent days with the lord's wife, teaching her about herbs that helped pregnancy, about foods that gave strength, about rest and care. When the baby came, healthy and strong, the Lord wept with joy. You saved them both, he said. Name your reward. Just spread the word, Clara said. That healing comes from knowledge and care, not from magic or fear. The Lord nodded. Lady Clara the healer, that's what people call you now. Clara smiled. A title earned through good work, not birth or beauty or marriage. Bram watched all this with pride. His wife was becoming known throughout the region, respected, valued. Are you proud of me? Clara asked one evening. So proud I can barely contain it, Bram said. But more than proud, I'm grateful. For what? That you chose to stay, to forgive, to build something real with me. Where else would I go? This is my home. You are my home. They stood together in their garden, looking at the herbs Clara had planted, the healing plants she tended. Do you ever regret it? Bram asked. Marrying the monster? Clara laughed. You're not a monster. You never were. What am I then? Clara looked at this man who had given her everything. Safety, respect, purpose, love. You're my angel, she said simply. And in the fading light of evening, surrounded by the fruits of their shared labor, that felt exactly right. 2 years later, Clara stood in the same garden, but everything had changed. The herb garden had grown into a healing center. People came from distant towns seeking Clara's help. She'd trained other women to assist her. The plain girl with the limp was now Lady Clara the healer, known throughout the region, respected by lords and peasants alike. But more important than fame was happiness. Clara was happy, truly, deeply happy. Bram approached from the house. In his arms, a small bundle, their daughter sleeping peacefully. How is our little Rose? Clara asked softly. Perfect, just like her mother. Clara laughed. I'm not perfect. You're perfect for me. They sat together on a bench Bram had built, watching their workers tend the expanded gardens, watching students learn healing arts. Do you remember, Clara said, when you asked me what I saw in the mirror? You saw someone worthless, someone broken, and now? Clara considered. Now I see a healer, a teacher, a mother, a wife, someone who matters, someone who changed everything she touched. It was true. Clara's influence had spread far beyond their estate. She'd taught healing to dozens of women, saved countless lives, brought knowledge where before there had been fear. The old Clara seems like a different person, she mused. She wasn't different, just hidden, buried under other people's lies. Clara kissed their daughter's forehead. This little one will never doubt her worth. Never, Bram agreed firmly. A rider approached. Clara recognized him. A messenger from the capital. Lady Clara, he called, I bring greetings from the Queen herself. Clara and Bram exchanged surprised looks. Her Majesty has heard of your work, your healing, your teaching. She requests your presence at court. The Queen wants to meet me. She wishes to establish healing centers throughout the kingdom, centers based on your methods. She wants you to lead this effort. Clara's heart raced. The Queen, asking for her help, her knowledge, her leadership. What do you think? She asked Bram quietly. I think, Bram said with a proud smile, that the world needs what you have to offer. Clara looked around at her home, her garden, her life. We'll need to travel sometimes, to the capital, to other regions. Then we'll travel together, all of us. Clara smiled. A traveling family of healers? Why not? We've already proven that broken people can heal, that monsters can be angels, that worthless can become priceless. Clara stood, her daughter in her arms, her husband by her side. Once, she'd been the girl no one wanted, the curse, the punishment, the last choice. Now she was the woman everyone sought, the healer, the teacher, the leader. Yes, she told the messenger, tell the Queen I accept. As the messenger rode away, Clara reflected on the journey. From a cold house where she was rejected, to a warm home where she was cherished. From believing she was worthless to knowing she was invaluable. From being called a monster to being seen as an angel. Do you think, she asked Bram, that everything happens for a reason? I think we make our own reasons. We choose what our pain becomes, what our struggles create. Clara nodded. My pain made me compassionate. My struggles made me strong. And together we made something beautiful. That evening, as they had every evening for 2 years, Clara and Bram sat by their fire, reading together, planning together, dreaming together. But now their daughter slept nearby, and outside, students practiced healing arts Clara had taught them, and messengers carried news of the healing centers that would spread Clara's knowledge across the kingdom. I love you, Clara said softly. I love you too, my wife, my partner, my angel. Clara smiled. Remember when people called us monsters? Fools, Bram said with a grin. They just couldn't see angels yet. Outside, stars shone down on Bram Hall, on the gardens Clara had planted, on the life they'd built together. A life that proved simple truth. Sometimes the people the world rejects become the people the world needs most. Sometimes monsters become angels, and sometimes angels were angels all along.